Coming up today on Ktown Social Club, a very special episode with a guest from Korea. We're going to learn how to make lots of money. Coming up right now. From Koreatown, Los Angeles, thank you for tuning in to Ktown Social Club. For the issues you really care about. With Young Kim, David Yoon, Hajin Cho, Ed Choi, and I'm your host, Michael Kim. And with that, let's start the show. Yeah. Welcome to Ktown Social Club.
What?
Thanks to, I'm Michael Kim. Thanks to Ed Choi, as usual, for joining us. We also got Young Kim of Sharp and Uptown and Moby's Coffee Shop and Arirang TV and all that. And to my right, over here, who flew in all the way from Korea this morning is...
Oh, wow. I didn't know.
Professional poker player Ryan Yu. Welcome to the program, Ryan.
Thank you.
Oh, you're
Thanks
a poker dude.
Me. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I saw that in December.
Wheels are turning in his head.
How'd you know? Like,
I saw that instantly. You're like, oh, it's a poker dude.
Yeah.
What can
I saw that, December. You had a pretty good December, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, I did very well. I haven't been playing a lot of poker recently. I've been kind of just doing other stuff and focusing on my family a little bit more. But yeah, I usually go to Vegas every summer and every winter to play tournaments. And yeah, I got very lucky.
Can I go with you on the next one?
Sure.
Yes.
You're welcome to come anytime.
I think I saw you ranked, 5th place, right, in December?
I want to
Yeah,
learn.
so
That's why.
we
I
were
really
playing-
want to learn.
We're playing the World Poker Tour is like
Yeah.
basically the main poker tour, but it's every year they have a championship. It's a $10,000 buy-in, and yeah,
You were 5th.
I came in 5th,
And you got
Nice.
$875,000,
Well,
right?
they took 30%.
So
but
is,
yeah,
wait,
Oh,
so
they
I want
take
to know
30%.
how much is tax? Is there like some other
30%.
commission or gambling tax?
30%.
Just everything is 30%?
Yeah, so like how it works for Canadians is like we get taxed 30%, and then we can claim them back, like through the IRS or whatever. We file it like a foreigner tax return. I
Do you
don't
have to-
exactly know.
Is there a tax? Are you a Canadian?
I am Canadian, yeah.
So is there a tax that America takes separately too?
No. So we can technically claim all of it back as long as we have like losses to offset.
Oh.
Yeah.
So after 30%, you still got $612,500.
Yeah, something like
Which
that.
is
yeah.
for a year where apparently you didn't put too much effort in. Sounds like a good year.
Yeah, you know, a lot of these things, there is a lot of skill in poker.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but in the short term, in just one tournament, a lot of it is just complete luck.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's no way I was the 5th best person in the tournament. That's
Can I ask you? I mean, there's a lot of people that's interested. I'm really interested, but I'm not a poker player. I don't have a poker face. You know, I can't do that. But like, how much did you think you lost to get up to the point where you were?
To be honest, I used to keep track of these things. I don't, but I'm actually someone that's very lucky. I've never actually had like a big down. We call them down swings. And down swings are like when you just keep losing and losing and losing until you win. Yeah. So that's how it works in poker is you mostly lose and then you win a big one.
One
and
big
then you
one,
mostly
right?
lose, and then you just have to hope that your wins offset your losses, right? I don't think I've ever... Most poker players that played the stakes I did would probably have like, you know, up to 500 to sometimes even $1 million downswings. I think the most I ever had was like maybe 80,000 or something like that.
You know, how do you look at that money and you're just like kind of like, oh, you know,
Yeah, it's not easy.
you
for
can't
me.
act normal with
I'm
it
not.
for me.
I'm definitely not a natural gambler. I'm definitely someone that was more interested in like the strategy side of it. So I don't really play table games or any other type of game. It's like kind of boring to me. It doesn't really
Oh, really?
excite.
You don't normally play table games?
No, it doesn't. Like I will when my friends come to visit me in Vegas because they want to play, but I'll just be the guy sitting there just like let's go home. Like I'll just bet it all or like bet the most I can because I want to just like either lose or go home or like win because I don't really enjoy it to be honest.
It probably feels a little like showboating when they ask you, right?
Yeah, no, not just that. It's just like the thing is, the poker always interested in me because it was always kind of like a strategy game where you could kind of like think. But when you go to sit down and play blackjack, you're just literally at the mercy of luck. There's no skill involved and stuff like that. So to me, it was just kind of boring. Like I never got the rush from gambling that like a lot of people get.
Yeah,
so.
the only rush with blackjack is because it turns over so fast. You know?
Blackjack's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I went to Las Vegas, and then it was like a table, 6 guys, right? We sat down, all with $100. Like guys I didn't know, but we all happened to have $100. She like cleared it up in like 3 minutes. She was getting like 5 card 21s. Like I think I saw it like 3 times in that whole. Like, I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is fucking bullshit.
You can't just sit down at any table with blackjack.
I want to know, how do you do that?
Yeah, I mean, I have friends that go on crazy runs in blackjack too.
So when you won that 875,000 prize, you must have been like feeling really high and like, well, how did you celebrate?
Pretty chill. I think just like, I'm going home.
Big steak dinner. What else?
Well, wife flew in like the morning of the final table. So the final table was kind of interesting. This is funny. It's ironic because this is the second time I've been under these like type of studio lights, but they interview you. So it's produced by CBS. So like I had to go in at around 10 a.m.
Right.
And they do makeup and stuff like that. And then they're
Holy shit.
And they're doing interviews for like for like a few hours, I'd say. My interview took maybe like 40 minutes or so. Wow. And then there's just like a big, you're not playing in the casino. Normally most of the tournament is in this big ballroom, but the final 6 players, we went into like an actual TV studio type thing.
Nice. How did that feel? Did that bring anything like a little bit different? Like, no?
Yeah, more pressure, no?
Yeah? No, he's a poker dude. He's like, nah.
Yeah, no, you know what? There definitely
thing.
was a lot more pressure just because the pressure that always came to me was I was never really worried about like the average fan. Because like you can see my whole cards now, like you can see my cards in the way I play basically now, right? I was just afraid of getting roasted by other poker players about like playing a hand badly or something. Like that was my whole thing. I wasn't really concerned about
the replies.
I'm telling you, like I'm sure you know, but like poker's no different. You play one hand badly, and they're like, oh, like fucking.
And they're not the one up there, you know? It's like
they
they're
want
not
to
the one
deport
up
me.
there.
No, I mean, we know. Like, you mispronounce one word in Korean, and they're like, he's not even Korean. He doesn't know how to speak it.
It's actually funny. There was one moment on the final table that was, or I don't know if it was the final table, it was the day before, but it was a TV table. And I had like all these chips in front of me, and some Italian guy was like, "Oh, you're building the Great Wall of China." And I just looked at. I don't get offended by these things.
That's pretty racist. You fucking wop.
No, but I had a really kind of, I laughed at first. I said, yeah, but I'm not Korean. He wasn't paying attention. And then I said something like, oh, Italians always do this shit. And then I was listening to the broadcast over, and they're like, oh my God.
Remember what side they were on in World War II?
Yeah.
What side were they on?
The side of
German
Japan.
side, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They were the axis of evil.
I think
He's kind of got away with that, huh?
It was a $23 million
good fashion,
tournament thing,
you know?
right? Is this the one? Your name's in here, Ryan.
Japan
you.
had like anime and stuff. Italy was like, oh, look at Milan.
Japan, they had the TVs first.
Against another
okay.
Korean kid from LA. That's what I'm saying. You should have had him on. He won more money than me, and he's
Hey,
from LA.
let me ask you. You live in Korea?
I live in Korea now, yeah.
Where?
How long?
So we're moving to Seoul probably in the summer sometime, but right now we live in Cheongna, which is
Poker's pretty big over there, no?
huge.
Right?
Huge.
You ever
Koreans
been to
love
Vato's
gambling.
Taco?
Vatos, I know Jonathan, yeah.
Jonathan's a big poker
Chuan,
guy.
right?
He's a good friend of mine.
Yeah. I know him, yeah, I know
I think he's
him,
here
yes.
right now.
Yeah. Oh, is he? Yeah.
Do you guys,
no,
play,
I know
do you guys
him.
play together?
I've played with him before.
I wiped
yeah.
the table with him with a 4 of a kind on 8.
You know what? I have a hand where I hit quads against him too, actually. No, I swear to God. And he actually checked the river. I checked 4 jacks on the river, and he had pocket aces, and he checked, actually. It was a very good. No, but that's actually funny that you mentioned it. I remember that hand
Maybe I have a
specifically.
chance. World Championships of Poker.
So
Anyway, hold on.
Wait,
Before we
Gambling
continue,
is big
I have
percent
gifts.
luck.
I want to.
Oh, wait.
Is that what?
It's big percent luck gambling.
Yeah.
I know, but I just wish I had the balls.
Anyway,
to, like,
Ryan,
put it down.
Ryan has brought us some gifts from Korea. Let's check it out.
Why is it in a
So-
Radio Korea bag?
So these are.
Because he needed a bag. We gave him
these
one.
are.
Is it skincare?
This is beauty products. So these are.
Dope.
These are the
fucking
2
love beauty.
hottest things. These are the 2 hottest things in Korea right now. So this is.
You
this
were
is
like, we're
basically
not.
like.
You were like, this isn't a big deal.
No,
I'm excited.
No. Okay, so this is kind of really hot right now. This is like
Hair
the new age
scalp care.
Rogaine. So it's like a little here. I'll let you guys here. I'll pass it out. I'll let you guys open one. And how it works is it's like basically it looks like kind of like a deodorant stick, but it's attached to like a little comb with holes in it, and you just run it through your hair every morning.
Shit, I should give some to my
I
mom.
mean, we're all over 40, right? So this is the time we kind of need this now. Yeah, and then you just. But actually, this is really popular for women too now in Korea.
That's
like my wife put me
hysterical.
on this because she started using it.
Oh, your wife.
Mike might
it's like
need a little
rubber.
Yeah, right.
Not rubber, but like.
I
It's
feel
just a
like
comb with like.
I feel like Ariel from Little Mermaid.
No, but you put it in
No,
your
dude, you
scalp.
gotta put it on your
I
scalp.
get
It feels
it.
good.
And then I got you
I was like,
guys.
scalp
This is the
massage.
most popular moisturizer in Korea right now. It's
Yes.
called
Facial?
Aqua Squale. It's just a regular facial
With
moisturizer.
squalene?
Yeah, and
Hell yeah.
this is #1 by far for both women and men.
Oh,
So
감사합니다.
it's like, it's not the
Thank
it's
you.
not like the super high end stuff, but it's the most.
모공 쫀쫀 화잘먹 수분 천재
MD's pick.
times 2.
Thanks, man. I'm
you.
literally not
I have
being
to bring-
facetious.
Are
I'm
you
very
flying out of
excited for
LAX?
I have to go to Vegas soon, so I'm not
Okay.
sure exactly when
We'll
I'm
stop
gonna
by
leave.
Moby's Coffee Shop, Manchester, and Crenshaw.
It's in Inglewood.
It's in Inglewood. Come on. Come
Okay.
over.
He's pretending like he's
I got you
inviting him,
hooked
but
up.
this is
No
actually a
worries.
plug.
Yeah,
I'm going to call my poker buddies in Inglewood. Yo!
Yeah.
Thanks, Ryan, for
Yeah, thank you.
wait, this is for my hair and then for my skin, right?
Yeah, for
Okay,
your
cool.
skin.
Hey, really, anytime if you want to eat,
Yeah,
let me
for
know.
sure.
Come with Ed. Come with Ed. And what's his name?
What's his name? Yeah.
Eddie, he's a really, I don't know him well. Yeah, he's I think he's more of a cash game grinder. I haven't seen him around tournaments before. Really nice kid though. Really liked him. Honestly, if there was one guy, because I ended up losing to him in the tournament. If there was one guy I lost my chips to, it would have been him. Yeah, I was cheering for the other. There was at one point there was 12 people left in the tournament, and 3 of us were Koreans. So like,
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had a pretty good shot at. But no, it was 2 white people that.
It's the smaller eyes that, is deceiving,
I
It's
was,
deceptive.
I was hoping that it would be a
It's the
Korean.
lack of wrinkles on
Yeah,
our
I
faces
mean-
is.
Dude,
we were talking about
Asians don't raisin
Yeah.
and black don't crack. It's a fact.
It's
man.
harder to hide our emotions because there is none.
Yeah.
And Botox,
We're dead
you know?
inside, yeah.
Put a whole bunch of Botox on you. Face is frozen.
So I didn't actually get to hear, how did you celebrate? Your wife flew in and then...
And then I had 2 of my closest friends in poker also came in.
Okay.
And we actually went to Korean barbecue. That's what they wanted to eat. So we just went to Korean barbecue.
Which Korean barbecue?
Which one was it? It was honey. What was that one? Oh fuck, I forget what it's
The one that...
Honey deji or honey pork.
No, not that
Urteji?
one.
Korean people
I
are
can't
gonna
remember.
Korean.
It's one of the more popular ones. It's all right. I mean, I live in Korea. This all whatever.
Korea's dope, dude.
I
Seriously,
think
Korea's
the
the
thing
dopest
is
right
like
now.
the Hanu. You know Hanu, right?
Yeah.
Hyung, you understand.
얼마야 요즘에? 얼마예요?
It's like crazy.
Is it like 6만 원?
40,000?
It's like-
50,000?
it depends.
6만 원.
400
I
grams?
don't
I don't want to sound like
박대감네.
I
How
don't
much
want to
is
flex,
박대감네?
but like they have there's this place called Born and Bred. They do like omakase, and honestly, that gets up to like 300-400 a person.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like very expensive. I'll take you if you
Wow.
come to Korea this time.
Yeah, I'll be there in
But
a few months.
Yeah, if I'm there, I'll take you. But in my opinion, I'm very biased, but I think it's the best beef in the world. I think it's better than Wagyu in Japan or anything or USDA Prime or Black Angus or whatever they have here. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hanu is way better than any other beef. I don't know about Wagyu because I went to one place. The thing is, it's like $300. They eat 4 pieces. I'm like, what the fuck is this? You know?
Yeah.
It's too nuki. There's too much grease in Wagyu for
But it was
me.
good
personally.
though. I mean, but it was good. But it's like 4 pieces, man. 4 pieces.
But Korean beef really is really
It's
good.
hella good. It's
My-
more value.
My
right?
cousin is actually in the industry, and like Koreans, we don't sell it to the rest of the world because we hoard that shit.
Yeah. Well, I think the reasoning behind it is because if they started selling to the rest of the world, the price would just go up like crazy because the demand would just. Do you know what I mean? So they want to keep
you wouldn't
the
have
supply
enough, yeah.
limited to Korea because they don't have scalability in Korea. There's no land in
There's not
Korea,
enough
so that you
land.
can't
Yeah.
you can't. And the way they raise cows there, it's not like factory farming. here,
Yeah.
right? It's like it's a very hands-on.
That's why the milk is
process,
better
right?
there.
Have you
too.
seen
Yeah.
Korean cows? They're a nice golden shade of brown.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the genetics, a lot of people say the genetics of like what the cows in Japan are from Korea too. Like they started breed because they didn't have cattle in Japan before.
I would
they started.
imagine.
Yeah.
It's a tiny little island.
Now you're pretty politically opinionated too, aren't you? I mean, that's where I first found you was on Twitter saying
Yeah, I mean,
Which politics? The U.S. politics?
to be honest,
International?
I'm very well. I live in Korea now, so I'm very into Korean politics now.
Korea's wild right now. I'm just
It's
so
insane
wild.
right now. And you know what's really funny about Korea is the liberal candidate in Korea, Lee Jae-myung, right? He's like a lot like Trump in a way where people have this insane hard on for him, and it's based on because he doesn't. It's the way he talks, right? So people think he's like a very rude person, and so people have this. He's a very polarizing figure. Let's just say. That's the best way
I
to
don't
put
know,
it.
but all I know is they have audio clips of him like cussing out his sister-in-law,
Hyung-soo, right?
Hyung-soo, and just like things that you would normally see. Be like, no, you can't do that to your brother's
Yeah.
wife. You know, that type of shit.
And
right?
no, and I think to be fair, those are all true as well. But
Oh,
I
is it
think
true? I don't even know.
A lot of it is true, but also I think he like me and my family, like in terms of me and my parents, really like him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, after Yoon Suk-yeol, how he turned out, I think
I mean,
you know.
Yoon Sung-yeol, but we already I already knew this would happen with him. He's just an idiot.
It's that wife, dude. That wife is crazy
You think it's
too.
the wife?
To be honest, I don't know too much about him specifically. I just know that he has a very interesting base, man. It's
Look, this is the funny thing, right? Like, there's
confused.
I don't know. Like, I watch the news and stuff, and I know YTN and like Yonhap. It's very left, kind of leading, right? And then there's like also the Chongpyeons, which are like the conservative channels, right? And they'll all say different stuff, right?
Yeah.
But then when you talk to like a conservative person, like I'm like, oh, what the hell's going on over there? You know, this guy, you know, is. They all say it's fake news. They say it was like a fake election. And I'm like, what the hell is going on, dude?
which election?
Like the general election was fake or something. There's
The
claims
one
that
from 2 years ago?
no, the one that I think they had, yeah, a
The
little while
one
ago.
where he was elected, or like
No.
their version of the midterms.
The
right?
midterm,
When assembly
yeah,
got
the
elected and
midterm.
stuff. Yeah, I mean
The general, yeah.
It's pretty common, like in any country, and I'm not saying it's just conservatives that do this, but it's pretty common in any country where you have sort of like sort of a radical sort of support base.
Conservative?
They're all.
I mean, not
it's
conservative, but
just
conspiracy.
conservatives, though.
A radical base that makes
It's not
up
just conservatives. You see that in sort of like liberals and conservatives, I think, but it's more like when the candidate has a very sort of radical sort of. They're like fans of that person, not necessarily just like the entire political. You know, Trump's similar, like with MAGA and stuff, but like. There's a lot of, you know, accusations of election rigging and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know too much about that because I can't read Korean
So
as well.
I guess okay. So the story that I've heard or that I've been like reading up was that. Oh, this is kind of lame talking about this, right? We shouldn't
ahead.
get into this.
Go ahead.
No, that general election was rigged so that they would have a Democratic majority, and then put all kinds of obstacles on the president's, agendas.
Yeah,
That's
I
what
mean
they're
that's what he's claiming
Yeah,
for
that's what
sure.
they're claiming, yeah.
If you talk to someone like my dad, he would just be like, "No, people realize they made a fucking mistake and they decide to vote the other way."
I think they made a fucking mistake.
No, because like they did the reason why was because of this sort of smear campaign they had on Lee Jae-myung, right? It was based all on, you know, he's not a guy that sort of is a polite dude. He does kind of have like, you know,
abrasive.
he kind of has a mouth on him, right?
So he says misogynistic things just like Trump. He says all kinds of crazy shit, right?
I wouldn't say misogynistic, but
sister-in-law,
he definitely, you know, Koreans are very big on like 선이 넘어가면 안 되잖아.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
there's certain rules and etiquette that you have to have, which I agree with actually.
Me too.
I think it's a valid criticism of him, but when the opposing candidate is someone like Yoon Sung-yeol, which I think is like honestly a terrible candidate.
I hate his wife.
Horrible.
Yeah,
I don't like his
candidate.
wife.
I
hate
just
him.
thought,
Just a clown.
and honestly, like Lee Jae-myung is, in my opinion, was like the best presidential candidate since Moo-hyun, who in my opinion is the best South Korean president ever. And so, Here's the thing about Moo-hyun. He was a liberal, but he was very respected by conservatives in that country. Because he has such a crazy origin story. He came from nothing, literally. When he became a lawyer, he didn't even go to law school. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure he just studied for the bar and passed the bar on his own without even going to law school. And so he came from these super humble origins. And so even...
He did human rights work too.
He did a lot of human rights work, but
a lot.
But even conservatives, not the corporate elite type guys. I'm talking about the countryside conservatives. They loved him because he was one of them, right? And so he galvanized the country sort of in a way, and then he got destroyed by the prosecutor's office or whatever.
What I understand was that he was too friendly with the North Korea regime.
So my understanding and what I know, my dad actually worked on, volunteered for him for a long time under the Sunshine Project. My dad was very big on North
There's
Korean
a big
unification.
divide on the whole validity and also the successfulness of the Sunshine Policy as well when it comes to conservatives and liberals in
So
Korea.
Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong-il at the time, he was ready to actually give up the nuclear arms, and he was actually even ready to give up socialism to unify with the South in the late 90s and early 2000s. There's 100%. There's at one point they polled Koreans and they thought the odds of reunification by now, actually the target date was I think 2020, was 80% or something.
I know they were talking about it, but
Crazy.
it was, I think the general assumption from the South Korean government was that any kind of form of reunification would be done by absorption into North Korea.
Actually, it was actually the opposite. So they had just suffered from the arduous march. So they were literally starved.
They were broken.
They just survived famine. And he said, we're willing to give up our nukes. We're willing to give up socialism to unify with the South. But then it was either Iraq or Libya, I can't remember, but it was Iraq. He saw what America did with Iraq, and he's like, "I'm not giving up I am never going to give up my nukes." And I honestly think that was the wisest decision they made. To be honest,
Is that when Bush said the axis of evil, Iran, Iraq, and North Korea?
No, I think that was
Before.
after. The axis of evil thing happened after. I'm pretty sure. Honestly, I'm not too sure of the timeline, but
That's why the six-party talks was going on and it was falling down, breaking down. It had a lot. It was very,
it was
very
it was a
strange
very
around that time.
interesting time in Korean politics.
And then all of a sudden, North Korea, they release something, and then you see him destroying some, or was it? They said that they destroyed all the nuclear arsenal and this and that, and then it turns out that they built a brand new one.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a surprise,
ICBM.
motherfuckers. It was like one of those.
But, I mean, to be honest, it's the same reason why Park Chung. See, this is why I have a little bit of a. I'm definitely towards the left, but I do have a little bit of a mixed opinion about Park Chung-hee. I think most leftists would say he was an evil dictator, etc. But I'll say one thing: as a Korean nationalist that cares about Korean sovereignty, the reason why I believe he was assassinated was because he wanted nukes for South Korea, which meant if South Korea had control of their own nukes, that meant they didn't need the American
US.
army.
Yep.
They didn't need the US.
Yep.
And so it is of my opinion that the CIA was heavily incentivized to assassinate him by paying basically his underlings within
I think
the
20 years
KCIA.
ago, you would have said, that's ridiculous, right? But
No,
right
but
now,
I mean,
after everything
a
that
lot-
happened, it's like, holy
a lot
shit,
of people,
that's...
and that's the thing about Park Chung-hee. I don't approve of the way he ran the country or any of the dictatorship stuff he did. It was basically totalitarianism. But the one thing is for a country that has pretty much never been unified. I mean, when have we ever been unified? Even Three Kingdoms, we're divided into Goryeo Shilla. Do you know what I mean? If Korean sovereignty, and a lot of people would argue that it's above everything else, then he was trying to do something good for Korea, in my opinion. My dad would roast me for this because he hates him.
Well,
but
I think there's I think many of the leaders that led had good intentions. They
Like,
always had
Chung-hee
it.
is not someone that I would say had good intentions, but yeah.
That guy, I mean, he took it over through a coup. I mean,
yeah, I know,
Yeah,
but like
for sure.
but there's guys like Chung-hee who I would say like I don't really have so much of a complicated vision. I just think he was a bad guy.
he's a gangster, dude. He's a gangster.
Yeah.
I
He was
mean,
like
in the
Gangpei,
worst way
basically,
possible.
right?
I mean, he's the reason why even all those detention centers happened, and
Yeah.
those kids got sold to America, and kids disappeared, and
Yeah, and like my
But see,
dad,
as a conservative, if I say that, I'll get killed too. You know. I've noticed that it's pretty deep, dude.
my dad grew up. I mean, we were a blacklisted family because my grandfather was a guerrilla in like he was a communist, and so my dad grew up like being followed. Like he told me the earliest encounter he had with like the KCIA. I don't know what they were called at the time, but the Secret Service was when he was like 8 years old walking to school, and the guy was talking, not like mean, like interrogating or anything, but he just told him very politely, like, you can get away with murder before you can get away with like political activism.
Yeah.
Like especially because you're from this
Back
family.
then,
Yeah.
it was hard. They were having
that's a
like
crazy thing to say.
They were having
Yeah,
drills.
just a little kid, but like they weren't being like scary about it. They were just telling him,
Yeah.
you know, matter of factly.
Baygengi.
Yeah.
but
Now that's
That's
like
insane.
That's what
that's
they
like
call
calling you a
communists.
witch.
Yeah, Baygengi.
Yeah.
Baygengi.
Your
It's like calling you a
grandfather-
witch back then.
Your grandfather
crazy.
Yeah,
fought
you get
in the north.
tortured. Oh,
No.
Baygengi.
So the story with about my
right.
grandfather
Oh,
was my family's South Korean. We're not North
Okay.
Korean at all, but a lot of my dad's family went to the north because we were communists. And
Okay.
so my grandfather went to fight to Chirisan. I don't know if you guys have heard of Chirisan, but it's he was at Chirisan fighting like UN forces basically.
That's a pretty big battle.
It wasn't a battle. They were just doing. I mean, South Koreans would call it terrorism or whatever, but they were basically just like hiding in the mountains and like attacking. Like if they were guerrillas, right? And then, but most of my grandfather's family like went to the north. But this is the stroke of luck of my father. My grandmother was like 6 or 7 months pregnant with my dad, so she couldn't travel at the time. So their plan was to, after he was born, maybe a few like 100일 지나고 나서, like after 100 days, she was gonna travel with them. By the time my dad was born and the 100 days had passed, they had blown up the bridges and they'd drawn the line, so she
man.
couldn't get to the north.
Your dad was born in 50 or
50.
wow, okay.
So he was drawn. So you know, like if you know Korean history, that's basically right when they divided the country, right?
So my father, they had to go from North Korea and they took.
Oh,
that
so
big old
you're
boat.
from the north, and
Yeah,
then
yeah. And
Wait,
then
so
so
some
I'm-
of your family's still there.
a lot of my family's still there on
have
my
you been
dad's
able
side.
to get in touch with your father?
Yes, actually,
Oh.
that's another interesting story we had where.
yeah, tell us about your parents and your parents' connection to North Korea. Like,
So, well, my mom's side of the family is like very anti-communist, and so is my dad's, to be fair, because the ones that stayed in South Korea,
They wanted to stay.
they were indoctrinated by like
Assimilation.
whatever. They were like, oh, they blamed communism for separating their family and everything, right? But my parents, so my dad never got Canadian citizenship. He was a landed immigrant for like 30 years or something like that. He never cared about getting a Canadian citizenship, and he liked the idea of having. But once he found out that Canadians could travel to the north, I think was when he decided to get his Canadian citizenship. And they own a travel agency in Toronto, and
Your parents.
my parents, they own a Korean travel agency in Toronto, and a lot of the church people that my mom was involved with were interested in going to visit the north when the borders opened up in like the 90s and 2000s, like around the Sunshine Project area. And so they took tour groups there. Like my dad's been there twice, I think. My grandmother's been there. My mother's been there. And I was asked to go, but I was like a 16-year-old kid. I just wanted to like, parents are gone for a week. Like I'm gonna have a free house. Like, and I was like throwing house parties and stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't really care at the time. Obviously, I regret
As all
it now.
normal kids should do.
Yeah, obviously I regret it now. But I'm hoping to maybe take a trip there in the next year or two.
Can you do that as an American citizen right now?
I'm not American.
You can, right?
I'm Canadian.
You can't.
But Americans
But you can-
cannot.
Yeah, Americans cannot.
No, I can
When
go.
your parents went over there, were they able to contact the families?
No, that was strictly forbidden, and that's one of their big policies there because they don't want. They want any type of family reunification to be under their. They don't want to see. They don't want their family in the South to see like they're poor in famous. So back to getting in contact with my family. Actually, what had happened was there was a Chinese broker, I think, and they had smuggled a video recording out of Korea asking, this was during the arduous march, so like they were starving and like bad things. And so we actually got a video of like my entire family there. And like they were just talking.
Were
And
they
all got like chanchi, like they had like an entire like chanchi, and they were all talking. And my dad is so insensitive, like unempathetic sometimes, because my 고모 할머니 that lives in Toronto, her sister was in the north at the time. Without any warning, just like during one of our family function like events, he just like pops this video in front of her without even telling. It's like, hey, look at this.
Oh my God.
Here's your sister. Here's your sister that you haven't seen in like 40 years or
Jesus.
something like that. And all I
Some
see
heads
is like,
up, like,
my
not even a
Komo Halmoni
little.
is just like literally instant. Like,
I think
tears, right?
he thought it would make her happy to see her.
Yeah, because my dad has no nunchi. Like he has none. He's
That's
like,
my dad too.
He's
It's like
zero.
no wonder they all went to Himun.
Yeah, no,
Jesus
and
Christ.
like in his head, he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna like surprise. She's gonna be so happy." Like, bro, like what?
No,
What do you think is
dude,
gonna happen?
you gotta give someone a heads up about something like that.
I know.
Hey, mom, sit
I
down,
know.
prepare yourself.
And then so she starts crying, obviously, and it's crazy. Like they looked exactly the same, except like the North Korean sister was much skinnier. You could tell she was like very like undernourished and stuff.
What did she say after? I mean, what was
To
the
be honest, I was
reaction?
too young. I don't
Oh,
really
okay.
remember like what. And I'm Kyopo, right? I was born in Canada. I understand Korean. I'm fluent in Korean, but I don't understand like different dialects as well.
I went over there, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
But also, this video was during the period of the arduous march, which
It was just after. It was after that.
and that was the time in
had
the
to hurt,
90s
yeah.
when the North Koreans were starving and all
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, no. So it was like early 2000s, I'd say, something
Okay.
like that. But it was. No, it wasn't just after, but it was definitely. There was definitely in the recovery period for sure, and. So the big thing about like Cheza for us was like my dad refused, because my dad didn't know what happened to his dad for the longest time, and my 할머니 every Cheza would be like put food out for your or for your father, and my dad would be like no until I find out what happened. He could still be alive in North Korea right now. Who knows? She's like he's dead. Blah 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 blah. Like. And then finally we found out through that video that he had died in South Korea and didn't make it to the North.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit. That whole time.
Yeah, so my dad didn't know the whole time. It's so weird. He didn't even really get that emotional about it. I don't know if he was just like repressed or anything,
I
but
think
it was,
it's something that he buried a long time
Yeah,
ago. and
yeah, I
made
think that's
peace
what it
with.
was.
And it's
Yeah.
probably like a sort of, you go through a lot of trauma, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure you build some kind of barriers in your mind.
I think, and trauma too, but I think it's just so normal for people in our parents' generation.
lose,
so
yeah.
everyone's friends went through something like that. So to them, it wasn't even like anything crazy.
Well,
You
it
know
is
what I mean?
crazy, but to like complain about it, you're like, well, all of us experience that. You're not thinking special.
Yeah.
Deal with it. Yeah.
You know, even though,
Which
like,
is
even
sad.
that I just wanted to bring up the significance of that 100-day thing. In many Asian cultures, a lot of the babies wouldn't live
Yeah.
past 100
Yeah, that's
days.
why the
so
peg is-
you
is-
wait before you do anything, for 100
Yeah.
days. You're trying to like
because
just
that
keep
was
the baby
that was the
healthy.
period where they're like something like 40, 50, 60% of babies were
Yeah,
literally
I
dying.
had no
Yeah.
idea, but it was bad, right? And then 1 year is like a freaking miracle. I'm like, holy shit, dude.
So we
Vaccines.
sent them money actually. So we actually sent them money through Chinese agents again. I think it was like 15 or 20%, but it was like honestly very reasonable to get money into a country that you literally like 20% is like
just
Western
have to know
Union.
someone.
But if you
Just like anything else, you
get
just
the-
have to know someone.
Sometimes they trust the wrong people and
Yeah.
they
Oh,
can just
for
take
sure.
off with
Yeah,
it. There's
no.
nothing backing it.
Yeah. No, for
But-
sure. That's why he didn't. It's not like he sent 100 grand or something. He sent I think 10 grand or something. But we got confirmation that they got the money. So
That's crazy.
so
10
yeah.
grand would have been like $100 million. Then.
Oh no, to
Yeah.
them. That's
I
why
was gonna
Dad
say
said-
it is $100,000.
Because when I said 10 grand, I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? 10 grand? You could send more than that. He's like, bro, North Korea? Like 10 grand is like, yeah, 10 grand's a
They live
everything
like
to them.
kings.
Yeah, no, for sure. But also like,
but carefully.
there's some, we had some hope that they were doing well because the address we got, like the mailing address we got for our family, they're in Pyongyang.
Okay.
So
Oh.
if you're in Pyongyang, that
That's
means you're
good.
in like
You're
sort
elite.
of like the,
Yeah.
you're
No,
in
Pyongyang is
the,
elite.
doing
yeah,
okay.
you're doing okay. So
You're in the top 10%.
You and I would be in Pyongyang too.
yeah, you're like
Teach
in New
English.
York, basically.
My
Yeah.
grandfather lived in Pyongyang too, so I would be back there. Yeah.
Yeah, you'd definitely be there. I
But
can
yeah,
maybe
this whole,
make it on
like,
the fringe.
this way, I don't identify necessarily as a communist or anything because, you know, this whole idea of, you see a lot of like diaspora kids being like, oh, like I'm from like North Korea, North Korea. My family has always been proud to be from South Korea. Like they moved to the North as a result of like things that happened, right? But my grandfather died defending the South. He never, do you know what I mean? He never wanted to move to the North. So and people say, oh, it's one country. People don't understand this thing about Korea. Even within the South, there's a lot of provincial pride too. Like 경상도, 전라도. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Especially now.
Yeah, especially now.
Especially now.
But even back then, it was just like a tiny country. You would never expect it, right? But like, look at all the different accents you have.
There's
like, in a tiny country.
racism within the race.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like no one likes 전라도 people,
Yeah.
and then you know the 경상도,
But like
전라도 thing.
a lot of the entertainment folks and you know the one arts is 전라도.
Oh really?
And the food is
well, the
freaking good
leftists,
there.
yeah.
the food is the best
Even
there.
on my,
yeah.
All the
even on my blind
leftists are
date,
from
she's like,
전라도.
is your family from Cholado?
Oh, she's from
I
Cholado?
don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, you marry a girl from 전라도, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ed had a blind date recently. It'll be out soon.
Oh, you gotta marry
I
her.
can't wait to see that one.
Marry her. First taste of kimchi.
Mine's better.
So
Probably.
you were talking about diaspora, like, in, you know, are you talking about like, you know, like communists in the West, or what are you talking about?
I mean, I went through that phase too, like for a bit, and it's a little corny to me. The thing is like, I consider myself a Korean nationalist, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't necessarily care if it's like we're reunited under communism or like something else. My whole thing is like, I would like to see a future where I could take a train from Seoul to Pyongyang.
Why
And,
not, right? Yeah.
yeah,
wow.
and the thing is, to me, is like, I used to be very like, oh, like North Korea is the true Korea, and I think there are some arguments that North Korea is like more sovereign than the South. But to me, what's more important than everything else, what's more important to that common person is to just be able to, you know, there's family separation, and we want to see the North, and we want to be able to travel and like stuff like that. That's like more important to me above everything else now. So in terms of politics, I've kind of stepped away from like radical politics. I'm more into just like
just play poker, dude.
yeah, no, I don't really play poker that much anymore. I have a big problem with a lot of. These days in South Korea, you see a lot of Korean Americans and like maybe Korean Canadians too come in, and they're just talking shit about the way things are in Korea, and it really
It's
annoys
always
me.
been there, bro.
Yeah, but
it's always
it's
been there.
even more hardcore now because now Korea is like an attractive place to live in, right?
You know what?
In the 90s and stuff, it was still kind of a poor country.
Dude,
so
no,
no one
not
really
kind
cared,
of,
right?
man.
Yeah, you know. I know,
No,
you know,
fucking
but
the streets and
but
alleys
now
just
it's
smell like
like
trash
The
during the
standard
summer,
of
dude.
living in Korea is like comparable to Canada now. So now people are going over there and they're complaining about everything. And I'm just like, look, if you don't like it the way it is here, then just go back to Canada. Go back to the U.S.
And
Go
especially
back
when
to
the
where you came
foreigners
from.
do that, right?
Yeah, because it's, you know what? When non-Korean foreigners do it, I have less of a problem because I'm like, oh, they don't know better.
But they don't do it though.
Yeah, but like when I have a problem when Koreans do it
Yeah.
because it's like you should know better. You should be respecting the people that built this country. And it's like, to me, it's like I get it. To me, I don't love paying respect to like my hyungs all the time either. I don't love these like formal rules either. I'm used to growing up in Canada where I could speak freely to everyone, right? But it's also just like. My dad always taught me when you're in someone else's country, respect the local customs.
in Rome,
Or
right?
don't
Or just
know.
like even going into someone's house.
Exactly.
If they want you to take your shoes off, then just take your shoes off. It's not a big deal.
And that's how I feel. And I just feel something's been kind of lost. And I'm not saying the diaspora needs to be following strict rules of like, you know, bowing to your hyungs and stuff like that. But there is a sort of.
I think it's insecurity.
Yo,
I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that like they didn't ever feel Korean enough. So when they go, they feel this like need to bash on it so that they
That's
can
100%
so they can
what
cope.
it is.
it's true,
You know,
right?
It's 100% what it is.
But if you know how to play it, 형들이 다 사주잖아.
Yeah, I know. And
Yeah.
my hyungs love me.
Yeah,
in
there's
Korea.
benefits to it too.
포커 가르쳐주고.
And like I have really good tongs.
You don't ever pay for anything to
And like,
eat?
let's give you an example. Like, I was leaving the country. I had to get my car fixed. I don't know anything, right? I call up one of my tongsengs. I'm like, look, can you find some auto shops for me? You know, wife doesn't really know these things. I trust you more, and
They'll
right
go
away
pick
he
up
gives
your
me
wife and shit. Yeah, that's how good
and
they
then
are.
He gets it, and this is what I mean. And then I take them out for food after.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's just the way it is.
Community-based society.
It's a community. It's a very community based system,
Yes.
and it's hard as an American with American education going to Korea and kind of being told what to do or expecting to submit to it, and it's a pride and ego thing
It is.
too.
And it
dude.
sometimes takes time to see those benefits, whereas
Oh,
in
it
the
took me-
beginning you
took
only
me a long
see
time.
I hear you,
how
man.
it affects
Took me a
you.
long time,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
I was bitching about it for the first 5 years too.
I
you
was
know?
I was the worst. Because I don't know if you remember this, Hyung, but like when I was with my Kyopo friends in the subway, we'd speak English.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
there'd always be some grumpy ass 할아버지 being like, "Oh, 한국 사람이 왜 영어 쓰냐고."
They still do that now?
Not as much anymore because most of those guys are like passed away, unfortunately.
yeah.
But back in the day when I went in like the early 2000s, and I was very defensive about this shit. You know what I mean? I'd be like yelling back at them and blah, 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 blah. Now that I'm like married to a Korean woman and I've sort of embraced the culture more, I can kind of see this guy. He probably went through 일제시대.
Yeah.
He probably went through
Yeah.
Japanese occupation. He
you.
probably
Yeah.
went through the war. He probably went through this, and this. He's just sick of
Yeah.
hearing foreigners and talking a different language. And he wants to see Koreans speaking Korean.
Especially foreigners who had like ulterior motives.
Yeah. And maybe there's a bit of xenophobia. There's probably a little bit of, lack of education, but you also have to respect someone that kind of went through a lot worse situation than you did.
Yeah, I think it opens your eyes. I think you have a great attitude. I think that's why you were able to do that.
I don't even think I have a great attitude, but yeah, it took a while for me to finally accept that, like, look, this isn't my country. I didn't have to go through military service. I didn't have to get bullied in Korean high schools like the way they do there. I didn't have to study for 100 hours to get into university. I went to a university that's like comparable to the top universities in Korea or better, and didn't do anything in high school. You know what I mean?
How long have you been living in Korea then?
5 years.
You've been there for 5 years.
Yeah. 5 years.
Yeah, it's when I was like in Korea, I was always just like that, always complaining, oh this isn't right, but all the while you could go get a friggin' driver's license if you lose it, go to the DMV over there and be out in 10 minutes and you'll have a driver's license brand new with a brand new picture.
Yeah.
The system is awesome over there.
Yeah, no, I mean, to be honest, there's a lot about Korea that, there's a lot about the West. I'd rather be in the West personally. Like, if I was like a single person without a family, I would
Korea
be living,
all the way, dude.
No,
Seoul.
I would be
No.
living in LA or Vegas. I would probably be living in LA.
Dude,
I'm
Seoul
not gonna
party
lie.
city, man.
Yeah, but like for me, it's like
Too much?
I don't want to say on air, but there's just certain things. There's just certain things that I like about America more. But
Nothing's perfect. Nowhere is
Yeah.
perfect.
But I will say, when it comes to like my kids and stuff like that,
America.
my son could go outside and go to PC방 by himself when he was.
Oh,
8
in
years
Korea,
old.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
I
true,
have
too.
no worries about
Yeah.
him getting, getting like
Shot.
assaulted
Yeah.
or like and then just,
Korea's safe. Korea's pretty safe.
I met this like white guy once, and he was having a conversation with me the first time I met him, and he's talking about how his brother married a Korean woman, and they have kids and a family in Seoul. And he was like, I just want them to move here so they can have American culture. And I was like, but you don't care about their safety because there's no school shootings. I was like, America's one of the lowest rated in education. Korea's like top 5. I was
Yeah.
like, so why do you want them to move here? You don't want to set them up for success? And he was just like, and I was like, yeah.
So if may I just add to that? It's true. Many of us are under the impression that America has the best education. But this is one fact that if you get a college degree in Seoul National University in Korea and you go anywhere in the world, you may be able to get a job. If you go to Cal State Fullerton here and you go anywhere in the world, you will get a job. That's the difference.
So the thing about, I do have my own issues. Like I would actually prefer my kid to go to school in Canada, just based on. I mean, U.S. schools are way too expensive for what you get. Unless he's getting into Harvard or like Princeton or Yale. For me, it's like
still
it's
too
not really worth it.
That's-
But I mean, the one thing
But
about
your life is
Korea
set.
just like, but it's what you said though. Seoul is only as prestigious
Yeah.
as it is in Korea. In Korea, it's not really anywhere else. He's an international school.
I don't know. I feel like it's starting to change now a little bit, right? Like Angelina's son, Jolie's son, went to Yonsei.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
like-
yeah,
And it was
Underwood,
like it was like on the global stage.
But you could go to a community college.
the
and he'll
guy
be
doesn't even need to go to
successful,
school. Yeah, but I don't know. He wants to go to Seoul.
That's awesome, dude.
"Bruh,
That is
you're not
awesome."
I'm sorry. Like I love my kid, but I'm also not the type of parent that's
As
like,
an
you can do whatever you want to do.
International
I'm like,
student.
bro, you need to be better at school. You need to study harder if you want to go into Seoul.
But he can go in as an international student.
Yeah, so though even in Korea, that faculty is not really as respected as like so even Seoul, right? It depends on what gwa you go to.
Yeah.
Right? But if you go to like the international, that's like a cheat code because anyone
International, you have to go to Yihwa or not Yihwa. I'm sorry, that's a girl. Sorry.
No,
there's another one.
Yonde. What you're
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
Yonde, right? But Seoulde has one too, but it's like really
that's right,
easy to get
yeah.
into. It's like very easy to get into relatively.
Right.
So you're not going to have the same
Okay,
respect.
so you've been living in Korea for 5 years. When I lived there, what, 2004, 2005, 20 years ago, right? And there are a couple Korean Americans here and there, but how is it now? It seems like a lot of Koreans I've known have moved to Korea in the last 5, 6, 7 years. Like, have you noticed the Korean American or Korean Canadian, Korean Australian, whatever, population in Seoul getting bigger? And what's the reputation?
I
of
think
them?
just from what I see, like on social media and stuff, for sure. But like my friends, a lot of my friends were there teaching English. Like, the wages for English teachers were insane in the early 2000s. They were some of them were getting like 10K a month just to teach English.
That's
yeah, I'm
crazy.
serious. No, I'm serious. And now the wages have gone down like
It got
crazy.
saturated big time. So you get year housing and probably about $2,000 a month, maybe $3,000 a month.
So a lot of my
But
friends
you're not spending it on
left
housing.
Korea.
Oh,
So
they're down.
Housing,
in
that's
my
decent.
generation, I wouldn't say so. A lot of us moved back. But there are people like me that kind of have jobs where you don't really need to be located anywhere specifically.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the poker players like stayed, and a lot of like the crypto guys stayed because it's a very friendly crypto environment right now. And a lot of us married Korean, like native Korean.
Did you marry a native Korean?
Yeah, sure.
How's
But
your
we-
relationship?
Jeez.
Mine is not that good.
No,
Jeez,
it's good.
young. Jesus.
But
No, I'm honest.
I will
Mine's
say
not
this.
that good, but we're surviving.
No, I'll say this. It's if you looked at our relationship through the lens of like Hollywood or like a Westerner, like romance and stuff like that, I would say a lot of people like a typical white liberal might not think we have a very healthy
See,
relationship.
that's a Korean relationship. It's so weird to me.
But
I
the
agree.
one thing is, and we've gone through a lot of ups and downs and a lot of close calls. But I will say this, and this actually happened recently, like in the last year or so. I think we both just told ourselves we love our kids more than we love ourselves.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, I told myself I can't imagine living by myself and not seeing my kids at any time I wanted to. Basically, I mean, I'm away from home a lot as it is, right? But if I had to do every other weekend or something like that, I don't think I would be miserable. And I think she said the same. I don't think she didn't want our kids to grow up without a dad at home. So I think we came to and we're really good friends. Like, we don't fight that much.
Oh, man, that's so funny, dude.
We might not have like the romance like we did like early on, but I honestly think, and maybe this sounds like cope to a lot of people, I think there's like, we've evolved into like a deeper sort of relation, like a deeper mutual understanding where it's like, okay, well, we understand that we're going to be together, affiliated with one another for the rest of our lives. We've even talked about like after the kids go away, I would spend most of my time in the U.S. and she would spend most of her time in Korea. And we'd
That's
spend
Chorhon, right?
Yeah, we would spend like maybe like a month or two together a year or something like that. But
I understand fully.
it's in my family
Like
comes first,
100%,
right? And
yeah.
like, there's been times where I've, maybe I'd be better off just like living in Vegas full time or like living back in Canada full time. But when it comes down to it, and like, I just can't imagine being away from like being able to see my kids whenever I want.
So
So
there was a. I mean, okay. So how long were you guys married? Like for?
we've been married since 2010.
So I think
it's
you
like
figured this
15
out like
years.
almost like 7
15
years
years,
faster
yeah.
than I did because
Yeah.
I figured out. I'm like, what's wrong with this relationship, right? But that's exactly what I mean. I think when you marry a Korean native, there's sort of a different view on as a Korean person growing up in Korea. They have a more realistic view.
It's pragmatic. This is what I always say. Like, Asians are a little bit more pragmatic when it comes to like, we're interested in like good results more than like good processes. This is what I always say. We look for good results more than good processes.
For sure, yeah.
In the sense that sometimes people in the West are very focused on things happening the correct way, even though they might not get the right results. We're just happy with the right results, like regardless of how we got there. And I think for me, it's like both of my kids seem happy, so I don't know what else there is.
Yeah, eventually,
yeah.
ultimately, it's the kids.
Yeah.
So your kids are happy too, then?
Well, I found out that, like, I mean, I'm a dumbass. I have to see it for myself, right? That me and my wife have not having a good relationship it distances the kids from me.
From you?
Yeah.
Not from.
Like my
her.
daughter, like, will talk to me less and less and less and less.
Yeah. How old are they?
17. My son's 14, and those two, like, they're the
They're
love
kind
of
of
my
at the
lives.
age where they're. That's like the emotional age for children, right? I started getting very rebellious at 14.
Yeah,
that was the
you have
that
so
was
much
the year.
hormones that are like raging out of control. You don't know what to do.
And
with
my
it.
sister, high school, definitely with my sister. My sister's a year younger than me, so yeah, it was
And
very.
those years, like you only know yourself. Like you don't understand the world outside of your own experience.
And
you know
imagine
what I mean?
a
You're so
divorce
selfish.
in the middle of that. You know?
Yeah, and so the thing is, my parents almost got divorced a few times too when I was growing up, and they just saw how hard it would be for me and my sister. I remember they took us. Do you remember when Pizza Hut used to be good and they had the buffet and stuff? That was our favorite
Salad
restaurant.
buffet. Yep.
Yeah.
They took us to Pizza Hut, and I'm like, oh, it has to be a special occasion. They're telling us they're getting divorced. And I was like,
They actually broke it out to you guys.
And then they saw how badly we took it.
Like
and-
that night.
We take it back.
Yeah, no, because Pizza Hut was always for something good,
Yeah.
right?
You're
And
like,
then
you just ruined it.
yeah,
Forever.
no, but my dad was like, oh, we're gonna take them to Pizza Hut, and then they saw how bad we were gonna take it, and I think they made the decision to stay together, and I'm honestly very, very grateful for them.
And
like, to be
I
honest.
think once like they get over that part, they'll stay together until death do us part. I mean, because like where you
now they're
go,
stuck.
You know?
That's what my mom says. Because I'm always just like, Mom, like, why do you put up with it? Because my dad is like a Korean man. He's very, very abrasive sometimes. And I look at Mom, I'm like, Mom, you don't need to put up with this
No,
anymore.
it's like a reflection of my freaking life, dude.
Yeah, and she's just, you know what she says? She's like, I'm stuck with him. This is all I know at this point.
Because at that point, it's like, what are you going to spend the rest of your life alone?
Yeah.
And so I think for me, growing up, I wanted this sort of like this family that like white people taught me about. You know, you want this like perfect family where the wife and husband still kiss after they come home from school. And you know what I mean? They go on dates. They're romantic. You still get some flowers. And I never saw that in any Korean family around me. And I thought there's something wrong with us. And now I'm just like, well, we don't get divorced. The kids have very high like education rates, success rates. We have some of the best outcomes in America. Like, well, maybe they have it wrong and we have it right.
Yeah, but on the other side, you know, birth rates are low. People aren't getting married.
Get married, Ed.
The suicide rate's extremely high.
Yeah.
So
The
who knows? You know? Who
the
knows?
suicide rate that one's tough for me.
I don't get it, dude.
I get it. I get it.
I do
You know what
too.
it is? It's
Yeah.
men. And because it's, you know, the suicide rate is disproportionately men.
Yeah.
And it's because there's so much pressure on men to like provide for their families. And when they fail, and a lot of it has to do with like 망했어, like 사업이 망했어.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Your business fails and now you're just like, the only value you were to that family was providing, right?
Yep.
So
But
once
that's
you're
how
no
I feel,
longer
though.
that.
That's how some people feel.
I mean,
A lot of
I
people
feel like that too.
See?
I feel like that too, right? And so once you lose that, I'm
Yeah.
worthless now.
I'm worthless. Yeah.
I'm a
It's the
burden to my
combination
family.
of that and the fact that like they look down on mental health. Like,
Yeah.
asking for help, like that's not. You can't.
Yeah,
That's an
it's
embarrassment in
true.
Korea.
It
No,
is
I
true.
agree with you
because
on
like
that.
if you like even some parents would be like, if you have a history of 결혼하지 마.
Yeah.
They'll refuse to let you marry.
Yeah.
Or they'll be like, "Don't talk about it."
Yeah, or-
definitely
no.
don't talk about it.
So
They'll be like, "Don't talk to him."
as a provider for your family living in Korea for the last 5 years with 2 children and your wife, and you know you had a big poker win last year, but do you plan, like, do you invest? Do you buy property? Like, what do you do?
아파트
I have a
사야지.
little bit of crypto. I've been in crypto for,
All right.
A long time?
a pretty long time. Yeah.
What price did you get into Bitcoin?
Okay, I'm not gonna say all that, but I'll say that.
1300?
It was
500?
around
Under 1,000.
My son's like about to turn 11. It was around when he was born. So it's been a while. It's been
He's
over.
calculating, dude.
Yeah,
He's trying to calculate your net worth right now.
Swing. There was a big swing, but I've been buying at all sorts of prices. But no, I've been
G1,
very lucky.
G1 was like, he's like the buy the dips guy. You know,
Yeah,
buy
no,
the dips
I've been
guy.
very. I will say this, and maybe there's a little bit of sort of like smarts and talent there, but I think I've just been so lucky in my life.
But you know, God provides. Sometimes, you know.
And this is another thing I wanted to bring up. I'm still consider myself an atheist, but sometimes I look at some of the bad decisions I've made in my life, and you know, the people around me, and sort of like the universe sort of forgiving me for these bad decisions, or like giving me a second chance, let's say. I just feel like there has to be something bigger than all of this.
I'm with you
and
there.
It's almost like I feel like I'm almost being arrogant. I still, I'm not Christian or any of. It's almost arrogance to think that like this is everything. Like, you know, human beings are the apex of consciousness. I don't believe that anymore, or I'm starting to waver in my steadfast atheism. I'm not saying that. So like, and I was thinking about this actually on the plane over here, because they don't have Wi-Fi, so all you do is think. Is like, you know, maybe all religions, it's like art. You look at a piece of art and it's like, you interpret that piece of art the way you want to and the way it comes to you. Maybe religion is like every human's, you know, interpretation of God or like some divine spirit. And it's not about being right or wrong. I think atheists fall into this trap of like, oh, this doesn't make sense scientifically, or this doesn't make sense logically, which is true, but it's also maybe like it's beyond like sort of something that our understanding can comprehend.
I agree. I understand fully.
And so
man.
I've started thinking there's just no way someone could, you know, constantly be rewarded. Even I haven't made great decisions in my life, and I constantly either get second chances or, you know, forgiveness or. You
How
know,
about mother, parents
Yeah.
religious by any chance?
my mom's very religious.
She's
Everyone
praying
else
for you. That's why.
Everyone else in my family is an atheist.
Yeah,
but
she's praying for you. That's
Yeah.
why. It's me too. My mom prays for me.
And
all the time.
I've grown to respect my mother a lot, actually. I used to think my dad was like the only smart one in my family, but actually my mom, except my dad has no nunchi, like I explained. My mom is so emotionally intelligent. And I look at the way I play poker too. I would say that I'm pretty good at picking up tells on people and sort of like figuring out, oh, this guy he seems a little off right now. There's something wrong about him. I think that's all for my mom.
Right.
Yeah.
And by the way, Bitcoin since 2014 has gone up about 300 times or more. So, I mean, I'm just saying that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I definitely
Yeah, but
did
there's
get
a lot
a
of scares where you
300.
sell and then you buy some back. And I don't know.
So if I invested like, I don't know, say $3,000 back then, I'd have like $1 million.
I remember though, it's funny. I told my parents to buy Bitcoin at like $1,000, and it literally crashed to like nothing right away. And my mom's just like, I'm like 노름쟁이, like whatever, right? And then like,
You should have been like, oh my God, buy now.
and then she's like, no. And then right when it get back to 1,000, like in a couple of years, she's like, sell it all for me. I don't want to do anything. And I was like begging her. I was like, Mom, do not sell right now. Please do not sell.
How did you have the? I mean, no one knew that this was. How did you have the
Oh my God,
balls to sit there and
you should
hold
have just
that?
bought it from her.
You were like a true believer in the thing, right?
You know, I have this.
Everyone like, sell it, just sell
I
it to
have
me.
this friend
it was a
from
scary
university,
fucking ride, dude. Like,
and it's
how
funny. You would never. And this is another skill I have. I find people that other people would normally never trust. This guy is like a guy that does hella psychedelics. He smokes weed all day. He's a janitor, okay?
Yeah.
I went to university with this guy. He's just one of the smartest guys I know. And he put me onto two of the biggest, I know we only have a minute and a half. He put me onto the two biggest windfalls of my life. I bet nearly over 100% of my net worth on Obama winning the second election, because there was a site that gave him like 50-50 odds. And Obama, in my opinion, was like over 95% to win the second election. He was against Romney. He was an absolute joke. And then he's like, we're smoking. And like, he's like, look at this. This is Bitcoin. I'm like, fuck, what is this bullshit? What are you putting me on now? He's like, look at this. This might go up to 100,000 someday. It was like it was like $1 or something when he told me about it. And I was just like, I didn't buy then. So no, I'm not as nearly, it took me years to buy after that. But then,
Man, imagine if you bought 10,000.
oh man,
at
if I
a
just
dollar.
like, I
Dude, you
thought
know
it was
what?
sold.
You know
You're
what?
like
You
one of
couldn't even
the
buy a
richest
friggin'
people.
pizza with 1,000 or 10,000 bitcoins back a long time ago. You
No,
couldn't even buy
but
a pizza,
yeah,
bro.
It's like crazy.
Do you recommend that I still buy Bitcoin?
I don't want to get
It's
financial.
scary right now,
this is
dude.
this is the problem.
Yeah.
I've
Right
been
here.
doing this and I've been wrong, and then like people will blame me. I will
Buy
say
the
this.
next crash.
I'm not recommending anything for you, but I am holding until at least 200,000. I think.
I mean, it's
think
just like gambling, right? The stock market or even crypto. It's just you
But I
win some,
think
you lose some. But
there's
the
still
only reason
room
you
to
stay
go.
up is because you were able to stay in
But
the
your
game.
president
Yeah, you gotta
is
have
doing
balls
wild
and
shit
money.
right now in the world
Ball
economy.
money.
So like that is a very big factor. Trump could just like do something crazy, unpredictable that tanks the world economy. Like look what he did with these tariffs, right? They tanked the stock market overnight. So,
Then maybe there can be another opportunity to buy
but
Bitcoin.
I would not recommend it to anyone, to be honest. Yeah.
I mean, I already have about almost a fifth of a Bitcoin. But,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm jealous of the people that have hundreds.
Yeah, no, I don't have hundreds. I promise you, I don't have hundreds.
Or
I
I'm
thousands.
jealous of people who
I
have
promise you, I would
hundreds.
not be sitting in this studio right now if I had hundreds of Bitcoin.
So it's
Oh,
not
so,
thousands.
so you admit that money changes you.
Yeah, no, I would probably be hiding. I'd probably have I'd be hiding somewhere.
A bunker in the mountains.
Yeah.
You know,
I
I
don't-
made one friggin' inquiry for a loan. I get about 100 phone calls like a week. I'm just like, dude, can you imagine if you won the lotto or if someone found out you had all these Bitcoins, dude, all the phone calls that you would get, dude.
Oh man,
It's a sick world,
and
bro.
it's just the thing is, it's just I don't know. I don't like. I'm not saying I have a lot of money, but I don't.
He's got a lot of money.
relationships. No, I don't. But I'm saying we have a little bit of money, and since we came into, because we started with nothing. Me and my wife started with nothing, and so she married me when I was worth less than zero. Like I had credit card debt. When she
Sorry, bro.
married
Can I
me.
just ask you real quick?
Yeah.
Doesn't that make you more loyal
Yeah.
to be with your wife?
Well, this is what I told her. I said, even if she leaves me, I would provide for her for the rest of my life. Even if she decides to leave me, I said, you're the only person to ever like. And I'm sorry, I don't. Maybe this sounds
Sorry.
misogynistic or whatever. I wouldn't trust anyone today, and just it changes the relationships
Yeah.
you have and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Right? And so, when it comes to my wife. Like I said, even if she decides to leave me, even if she marries another person, even if she finds another family, I told her I would provide for her for the rest of my life. Like half of everything I make is hers. Like we don't do prenup, we
Dang.
don't do anything.
You sure
Everything
you want
is
this on
literally-
recorded camera on the internet forever?
No, but you know
I've
what?
told her many times.
Hey, thank you for bringing this guy. You know, this guy just like confirmed everything that I was like thinking in my head, and
I mean, a lot
he
of ways,
explained everything that I
I'm
was
very
going through just
progressive
right
in
now.
a lot
like-
of ways, but when it comes to family and a lot of different things, I'm very like traditional in a lot of ways
That's awesome.
too. And so
So it's a very
No,
common.
I feel good right now because fucking I'm not the only one.
Okay.
This is fucking normal.
I think you're okay. I'm
Sorry.
glad though. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
This is why support groups and mental health is important.
Yeah.
I just, yeah. That she believed in me. You know, it's funny though. I ran all these crazy decisions by her. I'm sorry, I'll be quick, but like, I remember the first time I woke her up because I went broke in poker, and I was like, woke her up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, how do you feel about me like taking a line of credit to play poker with? And she's like, oh, I thought it was like some big deal, like, you know, like something bad happened. Like, yeah, I don't care. I don't care. The
Wow.
Obama thing, we took a second mortgage on our house.
Oh my God, you got a second mortgage on your house to
she
bet
was
on
just
Obama?
and she said to me, and I told her this, I was like, look, the worst thing that we could happen, we had a few $100,000 at the time. I was like, the worst thing that can happen is like we go broke and like, you know, I'll just find a job. I'll find a way. But like this amount of money to us is not changing our lives. We're stuck as like, I'm like a low level 2-bit gambler. Like nothing's happening here. Either I give it up. So yeah, I won that bet. And then, you know, I started doing really well in poker. So I was a professional sports bettor first, and then I went to poker, and then I started parlay. So like went to one parlay, and then I parlayed this gambling winnings into a little bit of.
and
Fortune
online-
favors the bold.
Yeah, and online I don't know how accurate it is. It says that your total earnings are something like 3 million, or
So those are the total cashes. That it doesn't include the losses, right? So I would estimate, including online, I'm probably up like maybe, I would say maybe like 2 to 3 million in my career.
You might be able to do your tax returns.
It's not that much though. Like I've been playing for 10 years, right? So yeah, but it's a good amount of money when you break it down over years. But you have to think no guaranteed paycheck.
so
no,
some years it's kind of low, and then one year it might be like boom.
Yeah, exactly. I would, to be fair to me, I was pretty consistent. I always made over 100,000 every year until like
Okay.
2 years ago.
Good that you were really able to leverage your skill in order and keep a family, and then keep.
I mean, like I said, I love to give myself credit, but I think most of it was luck.
A lot of it is luck,
yeah.
but to be honest with you, a lot of gambling is being able to stay in the game.
Yeah. And
It's like a lot of people quit when they start going down.
Also, I would say one thing to all the like kids who want to gamble there. I would say managing your money is like more important than actual talent in the game, because it doesn't matter how much talent. Look at all these professional
Football
athletes
player,
that go.
yep.
They get paid way more
Football
than we
players
do.
and stuff will tell you that.
And
Yep.
yeah, and those
Yep.
guys get guaranteed paychecks, but like a lot of poker players have degenerate lifestyles. They love gambling, they love drinking, they love drugs, and they love women, right? I'm saying,
awesome.
I'm saying, okay,
Like a rock star,
I'm gonna be on a
baby.
year. He's like, I lost all my family money. No. But I will say,
Like Ryan.
being conservative with your money and making sure that you have money to gamble with always, and being fiscally responsible, I would take that skill. And
This coming from the guy who took out a second mortgage to bet on.
yeah, well, I
To
mean,
bet on an
I'm
election.
saying sometimes you have
Hey,
to.
when you-
sometimes
when you
have to
know-
push
I'm just
it.
kidding, I'm just
when you
kidding.
know and I'm
Yeah, yeah.
serious about this, because actually, like, one of your former co-hosts gave me a big lecture about this, because he would never do it. But I would say, when you know, sometimes there's a skill in gambling. You're supposed to just wait, and you see a spot, you just have to like hammer it. Like that's just something you can't be afraid to like go all in. Basically,
That's what the former person here taught you, or you were trying to teach them?
No, he gave me a big lecture about how I should never have. I mean, this was when we used to be friends, but I just, for me it's different. I look at life differently. My whole thing is like this amount of at the time I was like, I'm either going to change my life or I'm just going to find a new profession. I was sick of doing what I was doing at the time. So I didn't think I was actually risking a lot, because the worst thing that could happen was I look for a new job, basically.
Okay. And I'm guessing you live relatively frugally compared to what you make, but you still enjoy life and
Yeah, these
eat
days.
hanu.
Yeah, well, like I've wound down my career. I'm like pretty retired now, so I would say, my whole, listen, happy wife, happy life. Okay,
Right.
My whole life is revolving around getting my wife what she wants. Okay, so whether it's, hanu, or like whatever clothes she wants, whatever bag she wants, whatever. That's my goal in life. And then my kids come, and then she takes. This is how it works in my family. I take care of her, and she takes care of the kids, and it's like a cyclical process. And then eventually, hopefully, my kids show appreciation for me. I don't know if that's gonna come, but
Okay.
How old are they?
so my kids are. One just turned 3 yesterday, the 4th, and my son turns 11 in March.
Okay, good. You still have plenty of time with the second, and then some time with the first.
Yeah,
spend as much time as you can with them.
I
man.
know. That's the problem. And the thing is, I was gonna wind down my career last year, right? I told my wife I'm not gonna travel that much this year. I just want to spend more. And then I get the win, and now I'm like feeling like I just kind of want. I kind of want to
find balance, bro.
Yeah.
Because it's like the thing is like right now at this point, I really wish I could hug my 4-year-old.
You have a 4-year-old too?
No.
Oh, like the
It
4-year-old.
seems like yesterday.
Oh, I know. Dude,
I wish I could just
my
hold him like
son,
this and-
my son. Oh my God, it's brutal. I just want to give him a hug. He's like, "Go away, Dad. Ew, get off of me." He won't sit beside
He's
me.
starting. He's doing
The
the adolescent
11-year-old?
thing.
Yeah.
No,
Already?
that's when it starts.
Dude, I'm telling you.
It'll get better in 2 years.
And there's this new saying
And
in
then
Korea. It's
worse.
a modern saying.
Yeah,
and then
아들
better.
키워봤자 소용없다고. That means like you raise a son, because the son will just leave your family
For a
and
girl.
never come back.
For a girl.
Exactly. They want to start their own family. The girl
Yeah.
always comes and checks up on their.
When I was young and dumb, I always wanted to be like have a bunch of boys, and now as I'm older, I'm like, I always
wanted a girl.
I need
I always wanted
I don't know,
one
dude.
girl.
My daughter doesn't really
you'd
talk
have
to me
these-
I
anymore.
always wanted a
It's
girl.
weird.
I'm like dalbabo. My dad is dalbabo too. He was really tough on me, and my sister got whatever.
Don't
she
you think that's a
wanted,
little misogynistic?
You know, I mean, yeah, I don't treat no, but I will say like maybe it is, but like I don't treat like I told my son right away because he was very jealous of the way I treated my daughter, and I told him right away. I was
I think
I'll never
expected.
treat you the same as her.
I think a man falls in love with mom, daughter.
Yeah, and
All right.
and my wife is like a little bit more protective of the son too, so it works out.
That's very Korean, though.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
very Korean.
So you flew into LA this morning, and you're heading to Vegas soon for, I guess, some
Yeah,
poker
either
thing?
tonight or tomorrow morning.
All
I think.
right.
And then you're coming back in a few weeks also again, right?
Yeah, I'll be back for the LA Classic.
And then
LAPC.
we're going to do
Are you
some...
staying in the States the whole time, or are you going back?
No, so I'm flying home for the Super Bowl. So my friends have like a crazy Super Bowl party. So
In Korea?
No,
in Toronto.
Oh man, flying to Korea for that would be great. No, in Toronto. I'll be flying home to Toronto just for the weekend, and then I'll be in Washington to play the Potomac Open, and then I'm gonna fly back. I'm gonna take a little bit, I don't know, between, and then I'm gonna be back in LA around the 20th for that.
And then
LA
you
Poker
want to do
Classic.
like a mukbang or something, right? Let's do
I mean, yeah,
something.
let's do something
Yeah.
because I mean, I'm a big hater of LA Korean food. So
That's crazy.
wait, hold on. Let's ask Hyung.
That's crazy.
Are you one of those people that say food here is better than Korea?
Korean's way better.
Yeah. See, thank you. I see so
smoking
much
crack.
propaganda about LA Korean food
It's
being better than
bullshit.
Korea. You know how many people have told me that?
Dude,
And I'm
LA
like,
치고 맛있는 거야.
I was like, I don't see it. I don't see it. I will
they
say
don't
this
even
though.
have good naengmyeon.
I will say this though. There's sundubu here is different. We don't have the type of BCD sundubu that they do in Korea.
Whoop-de-doo.
But
We got sundubu and...
Our UKjang's better. Everything else is better.
Wow, I was just telling her. I was literally just telling her that the ukejang
UKjang's legit, dude.
ukejang, sundubu, and that's it. But kogi, man, like come on.
Well, yeah, we don't have Hanu here. We got Angus or whatever, but...
Yeah, it's like dog food.
We'll try... we'll try some Korean food and we'll compare it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys put me on because I don't know. I've been going to all the places here, and it's
No,
like okay.
Korea. In the last 10 years, when it comes to culinary arts,
Korea.
Korea has had and like, you know,
Seoul is one of
we got
the-
Michelin star
Dude,
restaurants.
Seoul
popping
is
up
one
here
of the
and there,
great
dude.
food
Seoul
cities
is
in the world. I
nuts.
promise you. And I've spent a lot of time in Paris and Tokyo, and honestly, I love those cities too.
All
but
right. You know,
Seoul,
Yeah,
Gross.
for real. Food.
Okay,
Fucking hate
food.
Europe.
I'm out, dude. I got a
Really?
meeting, dude.
Yeah,
Okay.
and later when I go to Korea this year, we'll eat some Hanu or something.
Okay.
Hey,
yeah.
let me get your contact info,
For
man.
sure.
You know
All
my
right.
bros, dude.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, we got to wrap this up. Thanks to Ed Choi for joining us as usual. Young Kim, he's got to go to a meeting now. I'm Michael Kim, and thanks to Ryan Yu for flying in from Korea. I think Ryan's got to go on the radio soon too. So that'll be
Oh,
fun.
you guys
Double
can say,
book,
if you
huh?
guys
Okay.
want to hear, I have my broken ass Korean.
It's fine. Yeah.
Hey, you don't, isn't there a demand for people who want to learn?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe if I were single, I would know that better. But no, I don't
No,
know.
I mean, learn poker.
Oh, poker? Maybe. I'm too old for that. I'm not good enough at poker to teach.
But
anyone.
anyway, we'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's all right. He knows what you want.